to read this. Would you read that?
Both sections.
That's the part that's in yellow.
Okay. Annually, at the last regular board meeting of the calendar year, the board president is required to announce board members' compliance with training requirements. The president is required to announce the name of each board member and state if they have met the required hours, exceeded the required hours, or are deficient in the required continuing education hours. The State Board of Education also requires that the board president annually distribute the framework of governance leadership, also known as the framework for school board development, to all current members of the board and the superintendent. These are in board members' folders and are marked with the blue tab. Want to need the names?
Yeah.
James Irvin exceeded required Tier 3 hours. Pam Fitch exceeded required...
Just had to put exceed the hours, you didn't have to put the numbers.
Exceeded hours, okay. Steve Green exceeded...
You do need to read, I'm sorry, you do need to read the tiers because we haven't done tiers
Okay.
yet, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
So do I continue as I was going?
To read the tiers.
James Irvin exceeded required Tier 3 hours. Pam Fitch exceeded required Tier 1 and Tier 3 hours. Steve Green exceeded required Tier 3 hours. T.D. Howard exceeded required Tier 3 hours. Zeke Martinez exceeded required Tier 3 hours. Susan Russian exceeded required Tier 3 hours. Russell Smith exceeded required Tier 3 hours. At this time, all board members are deficient in Tier 2 hours. However, immediately following this regular meeting, we will conduct a Team of 8 training session that will fulfill the required Tier 2 hours. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, we come to the information item and report segment of tonight's meeting, and we begin with, oh, excuse me, I'm
Consent.
trying to find the consent agenda here. The board won't, I'm gonna find it in a minute. Unless removed from the consent agenda, all items listed will be acted on with one motion. If there is a board member who wishes to discuss an item on the consent agenda separately, please indicate that agenda letter, and it will be set aside for further discussion and separate vote. Does anybody have anything from the consent agenda that needs to be separated? Then I will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we will approve the consent agenda.
All those in favor, raise your right hand.
You need a
Second.
second. I'll second.
Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
TD seconds it. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed. Okay, at that point, I guess we'll go to, do we have any public?
We had one form, but unfortunately it was turned in after the meeting started.
Okay. All right, so there's no public comments at that point. We will adjourn this portion of the board meeting at 6:59 to go into a workshop setting, and we will go to executive session.
I was going to ask, do we need to go back into executive session before we adjourn into the workshop?
We're going to go back, how long do you think it'll take for,
15 minutes at the most.
can we do executive session after the workshop?
There is no executive session on the workshop.
We need to do it now, personnel.
It won't have long.
Personnel, Steve.
Okay, we're going to go in back into executive sessions
Gotta read the thing.
for
Read the...
Recess.
The board will now conduct an executive session pursuant to discussion item posted on the agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act as allowed by the Texas Government's Code Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, and 551.129. No vote will take place in closed meeting. Any action our board wishes to take as a result of discussion item in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in open sessions now.
Steve, You need to add 551.074. You
I
said
didn't say
three.
551.074.
There you go. Okay.
Okay. At 6 o'clock, we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. The board is now reconvening into open session. I don't think we have any votes to take. There was no recommendations from the superintendent or the personnel pertaining to hires tonight, so do I have a motion to adjourn the board meeting?
So move.
Second?
All right, the board meeting is now adjourned, and we'll go into a workshop. Region 7, it's your ball game. We're going to move down here.